Good morning, everyone. So typically I would do these videos earlier in the mornings on Wednesdays, but today I am so tired. Like, since last Wednesday, since I did the last live video, it's been crazy. So we had a ton of rain last week, and then we had all these plans for the weekend. Hold on, I'm gonna try to prop this up on my coffee so I can talk with my hands, because that's what I do. So last weekend we had all these plans. Like, we're gonna get all this stuff done. I have these trainings I'm working on for my blog. The husband has a bunch of things on his honey-do list that he hasn't been accomplishing, which is becoming an issue. So we had all these plans. I had all these plans. I told him of our plans that we were gonna get done. Well, on Friday night, my husband went down to the basement where he has an office with his like gaming computer and all that. And we have the gym, and we have our utility area and storage area, and we have like a big family room with my books and all that jazz. So he starts walking down the steps, and I hear, and I tried to ignore it because that doesn't sound like a good sound, and I don't want to hear not good sounds. And then couldn't ignore it much longer because he did it again. Came upstairs. Our basement was under like 2 inches of water. This is the first time this has happened. We will have owned our house 4 years come July. This is the only time this has happened. And our area has been getting an unprecedented amount of rain. Like, the levels are high. I think we have this like Facebook group for our town, and I think it said like the highest level since 2008 or something like that, which was well before we owned this house. So anyway, we called the insurance company because when we first talked to this insurance company about getting a policy on this house, we referenced that previously in another house that we owned, we had basement flooding and we weren't covered because we didn't have whatever added to our policy. And we wanted to make sure that this did not happen again, because this was a finished basement. There's a lot of stuff that we had down there. Obviously, I just named up all the rooms that we had down there. We did not want to run into that issue. We inquired about like flooding insurance, like what can we do to protect ourselves so we're not in that situation. Well, the insurance agent said, you're good to go. This is Allstate, by the way, in case you're taking notes. There won't be a quiz later, but just in case you're taking notes. So you're good. You're good. Okay, we're good. So we signed on the dotted line. So Friday night, when we discover that we have 2 inches of water in the basement, we give Allstate a call. And the woman that we talked to said, yep, you're good. I'm going to call the emergency line for you. They're going to give you a call in less than an hour to help you figure out what to do for tonight, because this was late Friday night. So they call us, the emergency line calls us, and they say, yep, you're good to go. They could tell us what our deductible amount was. They said that the next morning we would be getting a call from another agent to set up services to get the water out of the basement. However, they said, if you would like, you could have that company come out tonight. Their name is Code Blue. You could have them come out and clean out the basement now if you want. Just make sure that you hold on to the receipt so that you can get reimbursed by Allstate. Okay? Well, we didn't think it was important enough. I mean, it was important, but we thought it could wait until morning. So we did not call that company, thank God, because the next morning, the third Allstate agent calls and says, yeah, you're not covered. You're not covered because you didn't purchase the optional water backup coverage that you would need in order to get reimbursed for all of this. We were like, what? No, that's not possible. She said we were good to go. So, of course, our agent wasn't in over the weekend, and she called, what's today, Wednesday? She called Monday morning, and like didn't even try to defend herself, which was even more frustrating. She was just like, yeah, you're not covered. She didn't like say that she had offered it. She didn't even try to do anything like that. So anyway, we're in this big mess. We finally, then the sump pump just completely died. Like, we knew obviously there was something wrong with it because our basement was underwater, but then it completely died Monday night. So we had to have an emergency plumber, which costly, come in. I think it was like 1:30 in the morning he came to our house and replaced the sump pump. But this is the first day, this is Wednesday, that we haven't had rain. And to make matters worse, so we had all these plans for the weekend. I had all these plans for the weekend. So Saturday was devoted to ripping out all of our carpet in the basement, getting the stuff out of the basement. Sunday we thought, okay, we're going to relax a little bit. We're going to accomplish some of the stuff that we had on our list for the weekend. No, because our power went out. And it was out for like 6 hours on Sunday, which means that since it was raining on Sunday, the sump pump wasn't working again. So then Monday, the sump pump dies. We replaced that. Today is Wednesday. First day, no rain. The very first day. Our grass is like 43 feet tall at this point. Oddly enough, we had been talking with a landscaper to come and overhaul our landscaping that we ripped out last summer, which probably like is a part of this problem because there's no barrier now like there was before, because I said, you know, we haven't had this issue in the past. So anyway, I'm tired, guys. I'm so tired. This video would normally be much earlier in the day, but I am so tired. I couldn't get out of bed. The kids are arguing. The dog ate a whole thing of Cheez-It crackers this morning. Like, life is a freaking joy. It's a joy. All the stuff from the basement is either in the garage or in my dining room. Like, the kids had this cool little setup playroom with like a store that we had built and a little nook that was a house and all of that. So all that had to come up, and it's sitting in my dining room, which they can still play with it, but it means like in order to get around the dining room, you have to like literally, I know, Joey, seriously, this is so stressful and annoying. The whole like adulting right now is just stressful and annoying. Like, I love my house, but the whole adulting part of this house is just becoming far too much. Like, I'm just going to go live in a van down by the river. I just think at this point, that's probably what would be easier. Like, that's just one simple insurance coverage to do. I don't know, guys. I don't know. Anywho, so I'm having to like snake around my dining room to get like anywhere in the room. I can't handle that kind of stuff. Like, hopefully, although the weather report doesn't show it, the rain just stops for a while because it really needs to just calm down. We just really need the ground to dry. We need to be able to get that landscaper out here to put our mulch and all that stuff in, and whatever shrubs he's gonna, I don't know. He just needs to do his thing. We need to get our basement dry so that we can like establish if we have all the problems resolved, and then we can actually make it into our finished basement again, so I can get the shit out of my garage and my dining room. And so let's talk about self-esteem, kids. Yeah. So I am on this journey. Well, you know about my journey to like build my own confidence and my own self-esteem. And I'm passing those learnings on to you guys, my friends, so that you can learn from my mistakes and not end up in the situations I've ended up in. Or it's not even really that serious. Just like, I think everybody goes through these kind of things in life. And if I can pass on my learnings and my experiences and my F-ups, then maybe other people won't have to struggle from those things. So did you know that it's a thing to be a confidence coach? Because I just learned this a couple weeks ago. It's like a branch of a life coach. And I'm not a life coach, but you don't have to be a life coach to be a confidence coach. And I was like, well, that makes sense. Like, why wouldn't I if this is something that I'm doing for myself and wanting to help others do, why wouldn't I pursue this? So there's a program where you can become a certified confidence coach. So that was one of the trainings I was trying to like get somewhat accomplished this past weekend, and it didn't really happen. But I'm working towards being a certified confidence coach. So I've been trying to tailor more of my blog posts to stuff that I'm learning so I can pass on my learnings to you all. So last week I talked a lot about confidence, and this week I wanted to talk more about self-esteem, because I feel like confidence and self-esteem kind of just get mashed up together all the time. Like it's it kind of just, you hear it a lot in the same sentences, like she's confident, she has self-esteem, her self-esteem is high, like, you know, and it's not even always positive. It's talk about low self-esteem and so on and so forth. But there are very specific definitions to these things. Like self-esteem is actually the same as self-worth. And I don't know that people really realize that. Sometimes they do use the terms interchangeably. Changeably, is that a word? I think that's the word. But it makes me sit back and reflect as I'm going through these trainings as well. Like self-esteem is where you put value. Like you decide your own self-esteem, which people don't really realize. They just think that self-esteem is this inflated feeling that you have of like positivity and pride, and what they don't realize is that you dictate where your self-esteem comes from. So like in my training, they use the example of hair. Like, what if you pride yourself on having great hair, which I do. Like, look at this hair, and even it doesn't even look horrendous today like it typically does. Now, I don't pride myself on my hair. This is just an example I heard in the training, but I did want to throw out that I do have great hair, because I do. So anyway, if you pride yourself on your hair and you have really high self-esteem because you take care of your hair, you love the way your hair looks, what happens if you get really ill and you lose your hair? Your self-esteem plummets, because you put all of your pride, your self-pride, your self-worth, your self-respect into your hair. So we decide where that is. And the problem with things like social media and seeing highlight reels on social media is that you tend to put the value on what other people have and you don't. But also, it's really fragile in that, like in the case of the hair, where if you lose your hair, well, your self-esteem plummets. And things like, what if you place value on having a certain income level, and then you're at that income level and you're feeling really great about yourself, but then you lose your job, therefore your income plummets. Like, what happens with your self-esteem then? It goes down as well, because you put so much stock into that income level being a dictator of what your value is, what your self-worth is. So the blog this week is obviously focused on that. So check it out. I use more of an example of like intelligence as I was talking in the blog, but I mean, you guys are smart. You can put your own situations in there, and you can, I'm doing this outside, clearly. But you can insert your own scenarios in there, and it'll help you to see where you're placing everything. Like, what are you putting in place of intelligence? And when you think of those times that your self-esteem is really low, why? Why is it low? Like, what are you putting so much stock in that when the value that you have in your head is threatened, that your morale, your pride, your self-respect, your self-worth just plummets? Like, it's really good to just sit with yourself and think about maybe how you need to change your thoughts of what's valuable. Like, if you value your hair and you value looks, why do you value that? If you value a certain level of financial stability, why that number? Why any number at all? Like, why do you see that number or a high number at all as being worthy? And if it goes away, why do you feel less worthy? So it's kind of just like a hard conversation to have with yourself, like a hard reflection process that is probably required to have if you, want to try to have as healthy of an emotional ability as you can. So check out the blog. Once I stop doing this, I will put the link in the description here. But I also posted to a Human in Training's Facebook at 6:35 this morning. So go ahead, check it out, read it, share it with your friends, and do some like deep dive reflecting to see where you sit with all of that. So stay dry, my friends, stay healthy, and have a wonderful Wednesday.